Okay, overanalyzing the St. Archbishops. So this is going to be a bit of a short video since I'm a lazy little bum, but I hope you guys do enjoy this little over-analysis. I think it's inspired by this guy. I know I saw someone's video like this, that's what inspired me to make this, and a weird idea that I just thought of randomly. So, firstly, we have to ask ourselves, what are the St. Archbishops in ReZero? By the way, I am going to talk about these guys in general, rather than point out individual ones, one by one, since that takes a lot of time, and I'm sure I can explain my point without looking at each Archbishop individually. If we look at it, the Archbishops are the main antagonists and the leaders of the witch cult, the overall enemy in the world of ReZero. Each one represents a different sin, from gluttony, greed, sloth, lust, wrath, and pride and envy. The last two not being fully shown in the anime. I think there is a Pride Archbishop, and Subaru might be the one for envy, but I don't really know. That's just a little theory. Definitely not relevant to what I'm talking about. But you understand what these guys are. Now, what religion are these sins, and sins in general associated with? Christianity, right? Home of the Big J himself. Okay, now here comes like the stupid part, and maybe a bit of a stretch, and it doesn't really make much sense, but, you know, we digress. As an English GCSE student who studies Macbeth, there's a little thing called the Great Chain of Being, believed in by Jacobeans, which were devoted to Christianity. This Great Chain of Being is a hierarchy of the universe, where it's believed everything is put in place by God. And if someone were to say, devotedly follow a sin, like St. Archbishops do, this would absolutely break the Great Chain of Being, like the one Archbishops in ReZero follow. For example, if someone followed the sin of sloth and failed to follow their designated job in life assigned by God, let's say they started staying at home for multiple months, the place given to them is gone, and the divine law is broken. Now, let's talk about what happens when you break this chain, right? Well, it's seen as an act of disconnecting yourself from God. This causes punishment, not only to yourself, but also punishment to the entire natural order that the world sets up. This is done in three big ways. Actually, two. I don't know why I wrote three. So, why does it say three? Okay. Macrocosm. The disruption of the world in big events, like earthquakes occurring or meteors hitting the Earth. Microcosm. The disruption of a smaller world or human psyche that is meant to mirror the macrocosm, aka like insomnia or madness, typically given to the person who broke the chain. And if you didn't understand any of that, then just comment down below. I have more than enough time to explain. Trust me, okay? Look, I don't want to admit it, I have so much time, okay, man? Bringing it back to Macbeth. In this story, when Lady Macbeth, his wife, is guilt-ridden of her crimes of murdering the king, she suffers loss of sleep and goes mad, eventually dying a solitary death at the end of the play. When the Archbishops gain their power and follow their sin to a T, I believe they break the Great Chain of Being, and thus go mad with power, accentuating their link to their sin. Now, one thing I also found interesting is that the witches themselves seem to follow this as well. Actually, maybe even more than the Archbishops after, you know, really looking at this topic. I actually think I should have made the video about witches, because these guys genuinely follow what I've been saying. Since the witches initially set out using their sin for good, like Typhon in the anime, where at first it's judging human lives to make a better place, but it turns out that this excess in judgment of black and white leads to a massacring of thousands in an attempt to do good. The sin itself causes the innocent witches to break the chain of being, and I believe that the stuff their powers ends up doing becomes the macrocosm itself. Now, how you interpret this is completely your own. Is Tappe trying to prove that sins are bad, like Shakespeare himself? Is he trying to show the witches and archbishops aren't bad people, but just tainted by sin? Or is he just trying to write a fun story and I overcomplicated things? The last is probably the right one, but this idea was brewing up, and I felt like I had to say it. So, that's the end. Thanks for watching. And if you didn't understand any of that, then just comment down below. I have way more time than... Okay, bro, it doesn't say way more!